I can't control him.
That's true. All right. Let's go. Mass
First news
Effect.
story.
Wait,
So
one
yeah,
second. One second. All right. Now you can go.
Mass Effect Legendary Edition is delayed. I guess is how I would put it. It's not really delayed. They've never
Well,
announced it.
sure.
But they have internally they've pushed back their target release date. So this is a story that I just posted on Gamesbeat.com. You can read all the details there, but I'll go over what we know, what I shared there right here, and then maybe answer some questions later that we got from on Twitter. So they were originally planning for an October reveal and then a later October release, and that's been pushed back. And I think we all kind of get why. COVID is happening. They are working remotely. These are challenges everyone's facing. This Bioware is not escaping those challenges. Um, Specifically though, it is about Mass Effect 1. Mass Effect 1 was not coming up to the level of standard of where Mass Effect 2 and 3 are in terms of the bundle. And it was going to bring down the whole package. I think they were worried about that. I think it wasn't just about visuals, it wasn't just about gameplay, it was both. They both weren't up to par, and so they are pushing this back, and they're going to give it more time. They're going to focus on Mass Effect 1 and try to make sure that it lives up to the expectations. I'll stop there. Mike, do you have any questions so far?
Mm, I mean, well, how extensive are these things? You say like gameplay's not there. Like, is this not just a kind of straight up one-to-one gameplay like port of Mass Effect One? Are they Mass Effect 2ing it a bit? Are they like what are they changing? Like what could not be up to snuff in terms of quote unquote gameplay for Mass Effect One?
Right. I don't know what their exact target for like what they are trying to reach with these, or like what they're trying to remake, and like what they're stripping out and fully replacing. I don't know those exact details. I'll say that from the sounds of it, it sounds closer to a to the Zelda HD remasters than the Mario HD remasters, where like there was some editing that happened with Zelda, where
Sure.
like they're like let's spruce some of this stuff up, let's make this stuff work a little bit better. And I imagine that was probably pretty easy for games like Mass Effect 2 and 3 because they already feel pretty
Sure.
modern. I think going back to Mass Effect 1, it's like, okay, well, that's going to actually take more work because getting that stuff to feel more in line with the other games might be more of an issue. So,
Yeah, even Mass Effect. Gosh, I'm not sure, but I feel like Mass Effect 2 and 3 were made on more standard engines, whereas Mass Effect 1 was like using older tech, or I don't know if it was proprietary tech of EA or what it was. But uh, again, I'm not 100% sure of that, but I could totally see why Mass Effect 1 would be the harder one to kind of, port, as it were, or remaster.
yeah. So I'm trying to think of other details that I put in. Oh, yeah, and then, like again, this is all internal stuff. They haven't shared any of this. I only ever brought it up originally in May because they were like, "Oh, we have more HD remasters on the way," and there's a lot of speculation. And I'm like, "Well, I know exactly what that is, or I know a couple of those things. The other one being the Need for Speed remaster. This is but they never said anything about this publicly. So now they're like, okay, we want to take more time, but people are getting mad at us, and it's not even our fault. It's Jeff Grubb's fault, and I'm acknowledging that. That's my bad. I regret now bringing this up because it's like in May, yeah, we were in the pandemic, but it was also like this is not going to mess up things too bad, right? We're gonna there had been a ton of delays at that point. It seemed like everything was going to be kind of like okay, games are going to be fine. But I think we've seen that it's caused trouble across the board, and that's been the case here as well. And it's like okay,
Yeah.
if I had sort of realized just what this was going to do to the industry, I would have just let them announce it on their own timetable. It's a bummer.
You were drunk off of power. You were like just breaking out as this
Exactly.
newsbreaker. You couldn't
Yeah.
be stopped, and you didn't think about the consequences of your
That's
actions.
right. I couldn't control myself. I still barely can.
Someone
I'm
has to
going to
stop
meetings.
you.
I know someone should. Someone should come here and physically stop me.
I
Um,
mean, I don't think anybody should be disappointed or upset. Like this
no.
was never actually announced. All you ever said was, "Yes, this is coming," and that you thought it was maybe going to be by the end of the year. I mean, I know people like Mass Effect. I hope it doesn't ruin somebody's like fall that they can't replay the Mass Effect games on like with some slightly better adjustment. Like you still can go replay those games on PC or whatever
Yeah.
anyway. So yeah, take the time, make the good. I mean, we already see what happens when these things come out and they're not looking great, right? I mean, we saw how people react to Prince of Persia. Even Mario is getting a decent amount of flack. So yeah, if you're gonna remaster these things, is it really just all being done internally at like BioWare? Or they're the
I'm
ones
sure.
handling?
I'm sure that there is outsourcing. I'm sure there is, but I think
Sure.
BioWare is like in charge of it. Yeah,
Mhm.
that seems to be the case. Yeah, I mean, just thinking back to like when I first like wrote about this, hadn't really realized just the fervor for among the Mass Effect fandom. It
People who
was
like Mass Effect really like Mass Effect. My brother's one of them.
yeah,
He's
it
over
was
in my living room right now doing God knows what. But yeah, he like, and I'm gonna say like I like Mass Effect. Like to me, like I forget that it's like a franchise, like a Final Fantasy or a Metal Gear, in terms of like it has a following,
yeah,
right? Like
and that's
people
what
will
it
go and buy that little spaceship and put it in their room, and they'll get
right.
like N7 jackets. Like people love, which makes the mishandling of that franchise all the more incredible. But yeah, people really like Mass Effect, and they are starving for a something.
Yeah, and that's what another thing I realized since this all happened. It's like, oh, okay, so these people are very enthusiastic, and any sort of news that I was sharing with them, it was like a feeding frenzy. So I'm like, okay, uh, yeah, definitely. If I'm getting this, I'm sure the teams are getting much worse in terms of like the anxiety of the fan base, like hoping these things are real, hoping that they're coming. And it's like again. Had I realized it would have been like this, I probably never would have said anything. So, with that in mind, my plea would be if you're listening to this, if you're sharing this with like your discords of other Mass Effect fans or whatever, uh, you can get mad at me for sure, no doubt. Yeah, because I said October and it's not coming in October. So if you want to get mad at someone, come yell at me on Twitter. That's fine. I have a Discord. If you want to get in there, you can yell at me in there. But don't go get mad at BioWare and don't go get mad at EA. They're working on the games. They're just doing the work. So it would be silly to go get mad at them about
Yeah,
this.
especially before Bioware, they're
Yeah.
probably not having a great time anyways. They're like essentially remaking Anthem right now.
Hmm.
Everything else,
Yeah.
all the
So
other like fun RPG studios from the '90s are just getting bought from Microsoft, and they're stuck at EA.
yeah.
So I feel bad for them.
Yep, definitely. Yeah. So, speaking of, well, you know what? Let's do this real quick. Let's get this out of the way as well. I have an Xbox Series X, Mike, and it
Oh
works.
yeah, you do.
I
Now,
do.
is this like